I'm basically interested in understanding aspects of sensory motor and social development of human infants, how a number of structures can arise through individual development and through individual learning and social interaction and learning, and in a related manner, how a number of social structures, such as linguistic structures, can be formed at the level of a population of individuals. And the particular aspect I'm looking at is that many of those processes involve the interaction of many components locally at several scales of space and time. And complex systems are complicated to understand. And among the tools that are useful to understand better those complex systems, examples of which in physics are, for example, the formation of galaxies, interaction of many physical bodies in the space. Computers are extremely useful because they allow to simulate and to play with the parameters of the models that we can build of those systems and to develop our intuition and understanding. So the same way that computers are used to understand the formation of galaxies or, for example, the evolution of the climate, I believe that computers shall be a central tool, among many others, of course, to understand sensory motor development and the emergence of social structures and language in particular. Right now in Paris, in an exhibition on mathematics in a contemporary art museum, I have been building and I am presenting with my team a big robot experiment which is called, I'm going to show you right now, Ergo-Robots. The goal of the exhibition is basically to show mathematics and related research, not in a didactic manner, but rather to show the emotional side of science, which I think is a very important thing. And this is the reason why this installation, like the other one in the exhibition, were all done in collaboration with an artist. In particular, the artist with whom we collaborated here is David Lynch, the famous movie maker. And basically, we made the robots and the intelligence and etc., and he made the design of the heads that you're just going to see. And so that's basically a big egg, like you see like this, and inside you have a number of little creatures like those creatures. You can, if you know David Lynch, maybe you can relate this to a number of movies like Eraserhead. Those creatures basically explore their sensory motor world, their body, and what they can do with it through artificial curiosity. Basically, like little scientists, they make experiments, for example, doing a particular movement and observing what is the result, for example, on objects that they can push around, and they build a model of this relation. And basically, they also build a model of how good they are at predicting what's happening. And basically, it allows them to decide what next experiment they will do. And what next experiment they will do is try to make action who produce surprising or novel effects in the world. Among the actions they can produce, there are not only physical actions like moving, they can also produce sounds. And in their environment, there are not only physical objects like those little things, there are also humans, you saw at some point a hand, who can make gestures or produce sounds to them. But actually those robots consider those humans as any other object at the beginning. And they are going to try to explore human objects as things potentially with which they can do things. So they try, for example, at some point to produce sounds directly to the humans and see what the human do in response. And actually the human does not know this. The human is also a curious person arriving in front of those robots and considering those robots as objects and tries to explore those objects by trying to make gesture and producing sounds, trying to see how the robot is reacting. So you have the coupling of two curious creatures trying to manipulate each other, not knowing that the other one is trying to manipulate itself. And actually what we are experimenting here, that something we have already experimented in some abstract model, is that from this mutual misunderstanding.
We have a question right here.
Do you think it could be dangerous to learn robots to have human dialogues?
I'd like to have them learn human dialogues, but we are very far from this. And so here, by coupling those two curious creatures, what we observed in theoretical model and what we hope observe here is that actually a structure of interaction will appear, which might be called the discovery of communication between those creatures. And next to that, those creatures also explore and invent their own lexicon, which means set of words that they can use to name external objects. And so they can play what we call language games, where they progressively negotiate, two by two, how they decide to call which reference associated to a meaning in the environment. And then there is a process of cultural evolution in which at the beginning there is no lexicon, no labels, no semantic categories, and progressively through stochastic evolutionary processes, a bit like what happens in biological evolution, but here at the level of cultural evolution, a linguistic system is selected and allows them in the end to communicate successfully with, among themselves about the environment.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, are they cute?
Patrick?
Yeah. Yes, there's a question. Can I just ask first, because when I see these, they're very fascinating, but they're not very, to me, they are almost like from a horror movie.
Well, you know, when you work like with artists, and you are a scientist, I think the good way to proceed is not to try to impose your idea to the artist, but to really be open to what he proposes. And you know, with David Lynch, you know this universe. Actually, right from the start, our view of robots is that indeed we should try to present them as not some things that are scary, but rather the Japanese approach, something that are cute and which produce pleasure of interaction. And through discussion with David Lynch, we actually ended up with this intermediary form. If we would not have discussion and we would have just let him choose, I think it would have been much worse.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. We had one more question, and then we have to let Peter in here also.
Yeah, I'm wondering, why should we have robots? Because you said if they will be developed in maybe 1,000 years, but aren't mankind dead then?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a very good point. That's the very good point, that indeed, so that robots can one day become to have similar capabilities, then we need to be there for a certain amount of time so that we still can develop the technologies before they can bootstrap by themselves. So if we die before, then of course, then we will have that another form of life, like similar to us, maybe also has technological evolution. But
Can I ask our first questioner, did you think it was a bad idea?
If no one controlling them at all, okay, this sounds a bit ridiculous, but can they later on?
no, they can't go right from their own on the street and go conquer the world.
No, of course not. But but if they are already thinking, do you know what's going to happen later on if they start thinking even more about feelings and how they feel about being in a room playing with balls and?
Well, you know, actually, why these robots I think are useful is that it's not so much that they provide new answers to old questions. It's more that they allow to ask new questions about the world around us and about ourselves. And among those questions is that they, I think, are a tool which is extremely useful to actually think out what is really the meanings of words such as thinking, feeling, curiosity, and even language. Because when you build robots, who have to act in the real world, you are forced to explicitly express all the assumptions of your theory. And then when it's within the robot and confronted to the world, you see how it behaves in the real world. And this confrontation of the theory with the formal language of mathematics and algorithms, and confronting with the physics of the real world and the social world also, allows you to really sometimes think differently the meaning of the words and the scope of the theories who were previously developed in, for example, human sciences.
So, are you saying, no, you're not, but are you saying that with the robots we can find the meaning of life?
No, I'm saying that robots is a useful tool to ask the question, what's life or what's thinking, in a maybe more scientific way.
Okay.